joining us today. My name is Arsalan Abbasi, and I'm here joined with Nikolas, who will introduce himself shortly. We're in beautiful Malta, as you can see in the background. We're next to the Hilton Hotel. And Nikolas, there was an event happening here. Why don't you tell us, our audience, a little bit about you and what happened today?
Thank you, Arsalan. So I'm Nikolas Chatziavraam. I'm the CEO of Zygos. So Zygos is a practice management software for lawyers, accountants, CSPs. And as you said, we're in Malta, where we had 3 events. So yesterday we had a private event, a private launch of the new version of Zygos. And today we were sponsoring the IFSP annual conference, the Institute of Financial Services Professionals. And tomorrow, along with our local partners, LegalTech, we are sponsoring the European Business Registries Association annual conference. So busy week.
Busy week.
Busy week in Malta.
And shout out to LegalTech, particularly Matthew, for making this happen, and yourself for allowing me to come to this trip and the events of today and yesterday. Today, I believe we had a lot of fund managers, CSPs, and law firms coming in.
Yes.
There were some great discussions we had. What was your highlight for you of today and the discussions you had?
Well, for us, Malta is a new market, so getting to know everyone and understanding their pain points, which I have to admit are kind of similar to the things we're facing in our jurisdiction and in other jurisdictions we're serving. So the most valuable thing was just, to get the vibe and to get the feeling and the pain points of the people. So yeah.
What key pain point, I guess, stood out to you from the discussions you had?
Well, so if I can break that down into 2 main pillars. One is the constant uncertainty around things, so geopolitical uncertainty mostly, and the collapse that this causes in several layers. And the other thing is the increasing compliance burden, if I may, with heavy regulations from the EU coming all the time. So these 2 pillars are keeping firms very concerned.
Yeah, I mean, similar thoughts there. I guess third, if I could add, would be the discussions we had around the use of AI.
Yes.
The governance, which I'm really keen to dive into. But you said it's a lot similar to your home jurisdiction, Malta, and the other jurisdictions you guys operate in.
Yeah.
I guess, in what ways is it similar, and in what ways is it different?
Okay, so let me frame this in a higher level. So we're based in Cyprus, but we serve those service-heavy jurisdictions, as we call them. So Cyprus, Malta, Switzerland, Mauritius, UAE. We have clients in all these jurisdictions, and the pain points are mostly the same. What we discussed before, but I want to touch on the AI point you mentioned, because that was an interesting theme, and I missed it before. Firms are increasingly using AI, but from what we discussed with attendees here and yesterday, they don't have the right governance and the right framework, and they don't provide the right framework internally for the members of their firms. So that's a big problem. And most of the firms jump on the hype instead of
Thinking it through.
Yeah.
And I mean, I see that all the time in UK as well. And we'll touch on just governance. But what we were talking about is the reliance on AI and the economy of law, as well as the pricing of how much firms can charge now.
Yes.
And what clients can expect from law firms, as opposed to a few years ago when you totally trust the law firm to be your partner. But now I feel like corporates can be a little bit more skeptical and question the bill that's coming their way and the disbursements in those bills.
They have become.
And do you feel just the similarities, if you can touch on the jurisdictions, because the conversations I had with the Maltese crowd here, reporting was a huge issue for these companies, and around this time of the year especially. Is that the same in Cyprus?
Yes, because now the regulators' visits have become, in all these jurisdictions, have become much more stricter and much more demanding. So you have to be prepared, and as a tool, you have to offer the reporting capabilities to the firm, so they are prepared for a regulatory visit, which is one of the most important, visits for a firm, and they have to be prepared. But that's a process to prepare your firm for that day. It's not what we see usually is when the visit from the regulator is announced, panic starts kicking in the firm. But the firms that get it right are the firms that have a process and a good system that produces the required reports. So it's quite similar in these jurisdictions, the way the regulators operate and the way reporting is demanded from the firms.
There's a term you described, which was shadow AI users.
Shadow AI, yeah.
Talk to us about that. I really like that term.
So, yeah, I was recently reading a study on, how firms have increased adoption in AI, but most importantly is what goes unreported, the adoption that goes unreported. So many lawyers use AI through the main chat platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, but their firms don't have the governance framework. So pretty much lawyers, accountants, CSPs are using it. I mean, the members of the firms are using it at their own will. And that's very risky, and that's very concerning. And that's called shadow AI, so people using AI without the governance framework. So one of the most important aspects is for firms not to deny it. I think in the legal space now, it's kind of the adoption has been crazy. The adoption curve has been very steep. But firms should implement internal governance frameworks around it, because the efficiencies they gain are huge.
And they should do it now,
They
as
should do it
opposed to
now.
when their lawyers are using it and the firm is actually behind its lawyers,
They should
right?
do it now. They should do it now, and it shouldn't be restrictive, but it should be reassuring because this client data being shared, and there has been really a gap from the big AI labs on how those data are traveling through the internet. So you have to be sure of how they use it and what you allow and what you don't allow.
Yeah. And we'll touch on your product because you have been implementing it within your own system. But you talked about the difference between agentic AI and what was the other one?
Conversational.
Conversational. Tell us a bit about both, how they differ and what they mean.
So 2026 is the year of agentic AI. It's kind of crazy to see how 6 months ago looked like 10 years ago in this.
To me, there's a pre-Claude world and post-Claude world.
Yeah, yes, and each model now looks like a century ago, whereas the innovation we have seen this last couple of years, it's crazy. So this is the year of agents, and where agents are different with the traditional ChatGPTs or Claude conversational interfaces, is that agents have a goal, they lay out a plan, and they use certain tools to achieve that goal. So let's take, for example, onboarding a client, right? So onboarding a client, and the steps you should take are review the documents, screening, and what have you. And then the most important aspect with an agent is that the work can be audited, and you can trace the decisions, and you can always put a human in the loop at the end of an agent's process. So I think that's where we're going. 2026 is going to be the year of the agent. And some other benefits of agents is that they can be grounded to your data, to your single source of truth, and you can put some guardrails around them to avoid hallucinations or common mistakes. So yes,
Okay.
this is the main differences.
And I guess with the agentic AI, the goal is to create little employees, almost virtual employees with set tasks of what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do.
Yes.
And I guess with that kind of a setup, you could even have an AI agent that reviews the work of the other agents to make
It's
sure.
going to be the future. The future of humans at work will be orchestrating different agents and working with different agents and reviewing the output of different agents. At some point, we're going to have agents reviewing other agents. Right?
Yes.
We have it now as well. So, but this is going to be the future, and the work of humans was never to do the mundane tasks that they have to do. Right, the work of a bookkeeper will be so more joyful, let's say, if they didn't have to do the entries for bookkeeping.
But then would there be even a bookkeeping if they're not doing the bookkeeping? Then you
Yes.
don't need a bookkeeper.
I don't think so.
You need the accountant.
The one bookkeeper could do more bookkeeping.
True.
So
And with high levels of accuracy,
yes,
to a degree more so,
yes,
because it can actually spot discrepancies
yeah,
on multiple documents as opposed to you going through each one
exactly.
yourself,
And
right?
imagine how many firms are understaffed now throughout Europe because talent is very scarce.
And is that same with law then? So just for
Law is
paralegals and the low level admin work, I mean, won't that just stop the recruitment of paralegals? Because it just doesn't make sense to have them.
No, I think it's only going to increase. I mean, it's the same as, I don't know, the example being thrown out, the calculator or the Excel, the spreadsheet, right? Before
Excel was meant to replace accountants, I believe.
but
It only helped them.
exactly, only help them. So I think it's the same. The effect is going to be the same, but it's going to be a huge, much bigger multiplier.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's been revolutionary because all the tasks that were just super low value and really difficult, because after hours of looking at the same document,
Yes.
your eyes just get lost and your mind, there's barriers to what you can see. Do you feel like this is the era of the death of mundane work, admin?
Yes.
It's,
yes, most
all
definitely.
SaaS has been trying to solve every element they could, from your bookkeeping to law to any other problems you have as a business, but pretty much now we're at the edge of them actually being gone.
And this is the transformation of SaaS that should take place. I mean, everyone's talking about how SaaS is dead now and how AI will replace SaaS, but I don't see it this way. A truly good SaaS platform will evolve itself, and that's what we did as well. Will evolve itself in order to become a space for agents and leverage that huge amounts of data that our clients have inside our systems of record in order to create systems of action and allow them to perform actions using those data.
So this is a really interesting point of conversation, and you were talking about it yesterday as well, the MCP kind of phase, and every SaaS needing to have MCP to allow other SaaSes to enter it and communicate between each other. For law, can you give us an idea of how that looks, what that could look like with having your knowledge management hub, your practice management, billing tools, and all of that?
Exactly. So MCP is going to be the equivalent. I mean, it's widely used nowadays. It's going to be the equivalent of the API in the previous era, SaaS era. So the MCP could allow firms to build agents that would interact with several systems. So you get the Zygos MCP, you get the HubSpot MCP, you get the Outlook MCP, and then you build a workflow around it. So maybe you want every morning to get an agent reviewing all your meetings from your Outlook and then getting those attendees and going into Zygos, see if you have any unpaid bills, and then going to HubSpot as well, see if you have any opportunities open and get a morning report for your day. So this is a pretty straightforward agent, but you need the connectors, the MCP tools to do it. So, and as this becomes a thing, data is going to be consumed more and more by agents and being reviewed by humans rather than the other way around.
So two interesting points that the cost of the tokens will be insane, and the technology, let's say that legal tech stack, will be chained together through the MCP. So you start with one interface, you ask it a question, then it goes to multiple different places to draw that answer. Now, data, you were talking about data security there. The MCP are not necessarily going into those databases. So Claude's MCP will not necessarily go into Zygos. It's asking Zygos.
Exactly.
So talk to us about that.
It's like, let's not get too technical. We just can make the equivalent of is a request to Zygos to get data. So if you have the permission, Zygos will give it to you. It's like an API connection. In the past, everyone is very comfortable with an API connection, right? But it's essentially it's the same thing. I mean, you ask for an invoice or for a company record from within Zygos, and the Zygos API will give it to you if you have the permissions for it. It's the same with MCP. So it's not like you give access to your whole database and Claude can go in and search through your database tables. It's not like that. Rather than it's just a more sophisticated or a higher level of an API, let's say, connection to your data. So yes, that's pretty much it.
And on the cost of the tokens,
Cost of the token is a big debate, yeah.
so then every SaaS, do you assume, will have some sort of a token cost and
Volume-based.
credits?
Volume-based pricing. You have to move towards volume-based. You can go hybrid. I mean, we are hybrid, keeping the seed-based along with the volume-based, but because the tokens and the consumption of tokens is what we're charged on. So I think moving towards a volume-based pricing, credit-based pricing is going to be the future, because that's the only way to control consumption and costs
Yes.
of agents.
Now, I do wonder, because, law firms disperse anything and everything from KYC to their own whatever they're using, they will try to disperse it if they can.
There are law firms dispensing it and charging it back to clients, but
Wouldn't that be a giveaway that, hey, we're using AI to answer it, and be quite concerning to their clients if you're being put like 100K tokens in your bill?
Clients expect law firms to use AI, so I wouldn't say that firms and law firms would try to hide it, but then as you don't, the cost of the token has to be incorporated in your engagement letter, rather than be a disbursement which is passed to the client. So it's like the cost of personnel. You didn't add it as a disbursement at the end of the engagement. You just said it's this number of euros for this number of hours. So I think it's going to be the same for tokens. You cannot disperse it. I mean, I cannot comment on,
You'll find one law firm who is already working on it right now.
Yeah.
But so you built actually Athena. Well, I love the name Athena. But talk to us about your implementation. First, let's roll back. Would you mind telling us about Zygos?
Yes. Okay. So we've been around for many, many years. Zygos serves around 400 firms worldwide, and we're focused on lawyers, accountants, and CSP. So we serve the professional services industry. Our system covers everything you do on your day-to-day. So from onboarding, screening, monitoring, risk assessments, then to your entity administration, deep entity administration functionalities, share capital, UBO tracing, and all this kind of stuff, and then project management tasks, billing, documents, and all this kind of stuff. Now, through the years, we have accumulated too much knowledge and too many data. So we said that we have to transform our platform and make it AI ready. So we've built on top of that Athena. Athena AI is our agent. It can help with onboarding, and it can help with research. So you can go in and ask questions about your documents, about your directorships, about secretaries, about loan agreements, about bringing up specimens and all this kind of stuff. But the most important thing is that this is a custom agent created by ourselves. So it's not an API call to the main AI labs. So your data does not spill over to them, and it stays private. Everything is through the AWS cloud, and everything is provided in isolated tenancy.
Yeah.
So that's really, really important.
That's really key, isn't it? To our first point when we were talking about AI, which is governance first,
Yeah.
And shadow lawyers using AI. So here they don't have to worry about that, because what they're looking for is there's an AI dedicated to help them with that.
And they already have documents inside our platform. So it's just an AI layer on top of that. So they're comfortable and they know that nothing leaves their tenant. We were very careful on designing that in this way, because we know we've been working with law firms for many, many years.
So I want to talk about the revamp you did of the platform.
Yep.
And we'll get back into the AI stuff, because I do have several points on it. But talk to me about how important it was to kind of design the platform, the UX UI journey, revisiting that.
Yes. So the SaaS platform we have has been around for almost 10 years now, a bit more. We have accumulated too much knowledge and too much functionality, but this has made the platform a bit clunky. So we said we need to recreate the UI UX and rethink and re-engineer. So it's not just a complete UI UX revamp, is a rethink of how we were delivering the data to our clients. Then we needed to do that in order to make the system AI ready. So you need a certain interface to be able to consume AI in a more friendly, user-friendly way. So we created our own design system, we created our own components, and then we've built the new interfaces on top of that. We're very excited. It's a great project. It has been in the works for some time now, but yeah, we're very excited to launch it next month.
And I'm excited to see it. I've seen it. I thought it was fantastic. Obviously, when we started reviewing your platform, one of the feedbacks we had was that it was a great functionality, had a lot of depth.
Yeah.
The journeys and the looks of the platform, we thought if you upgraded that, then it would be unbelievable. And you're ready, I think, from what I saw. It came back to me, the AI question I had, which was, can you give us some examples of couple of use cases that a lawyer could get using Athena in your platform?
Okay. So in our platform, you have the entity administration bit and you have the litigation bit as well.
Can you explain those as well? What actually they involve?
Yeah, sure. So the entity administration part allows you to manage entities as a CSP, for example, or a lawyer managing entities in any jurisdiction. So it helps you with keeping track of directors, secretaries, register officers, and the changes. It allows you to generate the registers, of course, automatically generate forms for the registrars, and also allows you to manage on a very deep level the share capital of a company. So allotments, transfers, and replicate the share transactions of a company. So that's the entity administration bit. Then we have the litigation bit, which works very well in common law.
So what kind of features does the litigation? Because my audience is quite familiar with the onboarding, KYC,
Yes.
but when they hear litigation, they don't really understand the depth that your platform allows them.
So they are familiar with the first pillar that we described, and on top of the first pillar, we have added the screening, onboarding, and all this kind of stuff that go as part of the entity administration bit. But on the litigation front, because we started with litigation lawyers back in the day, so the litigation bit allows you to manage court cases, allows you to track your deadlines, allows you to have workflows with automatic reminders, calendaring, court hearings, and do that admin work much more easy and much more effective. Of course, allowing you to generate documents and all this kind of stuff. So with these two main features in mind, we built Athena, which allows you to query your database for that. So you may have judgments, court decisions coming out. You can ask Athena to review them for you, give you the arguments, give you summaries, give you timelines and everything. On the other front, on the entity administration front, pretty much everything, right? You can ask about loan agreements, director assignments, and any stuff that you need to be reviewed or any stuff that you're looking for.
Okay. And on the litigation, so one thing on the platform, it actually helps you manage the case file, right? So it allows you to see where you are in the case, what's the next action step, and then you're able to ask Casino, like for instance, what was the last point of,
Exactly.
who was the last person that communicated with this firm or with this matter,
Yes.
what was happening, and then on the billing front, you showed some cool stuff that you could ask Athena to figure out, has this client been invoiced, billed, and then
Yeah, so
it did the am I making this up, or did it actually go ahead and prepare the bill and show it to you in the AI interface?
What we've shown there is the MCP capability. So from within ChatGPT or Claude, you can ask Athena to prepare a bill for you. So you can go in Claude, use the Zygos MCP and say, bring up all the unbilled work for this project. And from within Claude, you can generate an invoice and it will be automatically created by AI. So yes, Athena covers the whole range and we're gonna evolve it. This is just the beginning for us. But as I said before, the future looks that it is agentic.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do.
So one thing where we're talking about to these Maltese crowd, that reporting is a misery. We talked about it earlier. So with the reporting, can I ask this AI, give me a demographic of my clientele? Where do the risks lie? How many clients do I have from X jurisdictions?
Yes, this is a research agent, so you can ask pretty much anything. It will research, it will work with its tools, which we enhance and build all the time, and it will provide you with answers. Can it do everything? No, but we're working we're working on that. But what you described can be done. There are several other stuff. I mean, the formatting of the reports and this kind of stuff can be challenging, but if you get the info, then that's easy.
One thing I liked about Athena is when you were asking it to do stuff, and it would always reference it back to the document,
Exactly.
or bring some sort of evidence directly from your platform. Talk to us about that. Was that a difficult thing? And how important is that direct evidence? Because you could ask Claude, right? But Claude lacks serious context. So that context, and you talked about the importance of good data being the primary source or foundation.
Yeah.
Would you mind giving us some elaboration on that?
Look, your AI is as good as your data is, and this is the difference with agents we discussed before. That agents can get context from your database. The one of the most important aspects of us building Athena is that Athena is grounded in your. It will not hallucinate because it will not go out and search for stuff. Or if you ask it to prepare a chicken recipe for you, it will not do it because it has some guardrails built in. So Athena is grounded, and it will always bring references with actually you being able to click and go actually see the document and review that's what you're looking for.
And that context that we're speaking about is tremendous, because the first layer of AI is like when you first discovered Claude can do stuff, it's great. You
Yeah.
have that honeymoon phase, but then you realize, oh my God, I need to provide
I need
context.
context.
And I
yes.
need good data for it to start making sense. And then you start creating like an organizational place, a data lake for it to actually tap into. But you're essentially turning practice management, which is a data lake,
Exactly.
and giving it that.
That's what I said before, that this is not the death of SaaS. If SaaS vendors look at it in a way that they have to evolve, it's a huge investment, of course, because AI now it's new and is not AI researchers and data scientists. They're scarce. But this is the only way forward, because the results of providing context to an agent can be great.
And one thing I like is that you're not just an onboarding tool, you're actually the matter itself. It sits there, the client case contact sits there as well. So
Yeah.
there doesn't need to be that extra layer of integration into another tool or another MCP. So you definitely have that. One thing we discovered is how manual everything is in the crowd here. Still, it's super manual, right? That's what the words were yesterday.
Yeah.
Is that easier to get into, or do you prefer when firms have a history of using technology and are very tech, I would say, how would you say, tech friendly?
That's an interesting question. So I don't mind firms having or not having technology. What we prefer is firms having the appetite and understanding that technology is just a tool, but what's most important are the processes. So we've seen it lots of times, implementations going south because the firm didn't have the right processes and the right people to become champions of a tool. You just cannot just adopt a tool. You have to put the right processes around it and implement it in a very good way.
And you need training as well, so
You need training.
there's actual
you
adoption.
Need, management pushing it down to the employees. So that's the firms we like to work with. The firms that have the vision and understand that a tool is just a tool, but if they use it right, it can allow great efficiencies.
Great, great. Just a few questions about just Anthropic entering our market. It seems like they made legal tech mainstream almost,
Yes.
where it's now becoming the center of attention for the big players. Has that had a trickle down effect? in the jurisdictions you're speaking to, the law firms you speak
Mhm.
to, do they get that sense that they're now being looked at by the big players, the Microsofts, the Anthropics of the world?
Yes. In the smaller jurisdictions that we serve, yes and no, but Anthropic shows us that this is only the beginning. I mean, their jump into legal, financial services, creating that umbrella layer on top of everyone just to build on, reminds me of the era of the, who will control that will be a very powerful player. It reminds me of the era of the browser, for example, right? So when everything started moving to the cloud, the browser became more important because everyone was accessing now your software through the cloud and not through their personal PC at the office. So I see it kind of, I kind of correlated with that. The Anthropics move, and OpenAI, ChatGPT has done it with health as well. So the providers will promote a vertical, a full stack approach. So we have to be ready for that.
Yeah, and on that, I feel like one big thing that I've been kind of fighting with Aventine Lab is the legacy providers who are super territorial and not open to play, right? With other providers, they're not open to integration. What I think these companies will encourage is you have to play with each other now.
Yes.
There is no isolation. There is no, I have my partner community, and that's the only community I'm willing to speak to, because that's not how your customers are. Your customers will have
That's true.
very different tech stacks across the whole. So these tech stacks need to speak to each other, or else customers will just they will use tech stacks that chain together with MCPs, right?
Exactly. And I believe this stems from the fact that this is the kind of work we do as humans, right? We don't just go to work and just log in into one system and that's done. We have our calendar, we have our tasks, we have our CRM, we have everything. So in order for an agent to be able to perform a complete task, it needs context from many sources. So that's the approach. And I think that's the place of the SaaS players into the new stack that's being formulated for us.
For legal, CSP, and accounting, for practice management, what is the kind of the other tech stacks that come in the chain? Is it the Sage, Zero, accounting?
It's always accounting. Accounting is always an important part of it, and then CRM, the opportunity part before someone becomes a client. But I think for a smaller firm, I mean an SME, solo to SME, mid-market, I think that's more than enough. You having your practice management, having your CRM before that, and your accounting bit after that. It really depends on the nature of the firm. If you're an IP firm, you may need some other tools as well. If you're a conveyancing firm, you may need some specialty tools as well. But for a general law firm or a general accounting or CSP, these three parts are more than enough.
Yeah. In terms of the people you speak to, what seems to be the main pain point this week, or your discussions in Cyprus or your travels? What pain point are firms telling you they have?
All sorts of pain points, but now I think one of the huge pain points is the change in the way value is delivered to clients. And you touched on that before. Clients are now becoming more demanding, so you cannot go about and charge based on the billable hour. Now, one of the most important things is the shift on the value generation model and the value creation model, and clients expect you to change your ways on that. So this transformation is one of the biggest challenges, along with geopolitics and regulation and the other point that we touched.
Just on that, so again, interesting case with Revolut, looking at his panel, putting them on a KPI, measuring how they do in-house, how they compete with each other, the panel, the time to deliver, the cost of delivery, how much AI is used, and so on. But I feel like the economy of law is going to drastically change, because it doesn't make sense to pay a lawyer thousands for them to do the basic bookkeeping, essentially, if that's a fair comparison.
Yeah.
The paralegal work itself, I think, will be done in-house or by people, and then people will go to lawyers for that final check, for that final review. Similar to bookkeeping and accounting, most businesses do their own books. small businesses, they can't afford both bookkeeper and accountant.
Yeah.
And then they will go to an accountant to.
It depends on the nature of the market, of the matter. Sorry, it depends on the nature of the matter always, right? If it's a more complex matter, you will throw it to your lawyers straight up.
Talk to me about your vision, Nikolas, and what you got coming up.
All right. So the most important the part now for us is the new platform and our transition to an AI-first practice management software. So being able to rethink all our processes and offer them in a more agentic view. So this is a huge transformation for our company. So on the technical front, this is where we're going. On the business aspect, what's most important for us is to continue our expansion globally in certain jurisdictions that we will be.
And which jurisdictions, just so we know?
So what I said earlier, service-heavy jurisdiction. So imagine Cyprus. I mean, for Europe, for example, let's take Cyprus, Malta, Switzerland. Then you have the Channel Islands, Isle of Man. Then if you go to the US, that's Cayman, that's Bermuda, Mauritius, Singapore, Hong Kong. All these service-heavy jurisdictions that act as offshore centers. But business, it's a niche within the niche, really.
Yes.
It's a niche within LegalTech, it's a niche within the professional services. So firms in those areas operate in a certain way, and we have unlocked that way, and we believe we have the best solution for us.
For those jurisdictions. What I like about your tool, and we'll wrap it up, folks, don't worry, it's getting dark, we're hungry as well. But what I like is you're cracking the puzzle for the toughest jurisdictions, the toughest requirements. So thus a firm from an easier jurisdiction where the requirements aren't as intense could have a really good time with your tool.
And they're intense as well in the sense that regulation affects those jurisdictions in a much more intense way. So us being able to implement those regulations specifically around AML or in the entity administration front allows us to be more competitive and be more agile in order to serve those jurisdictions.
Awesome. And then finally, I just wanted to know in terms of the next few weeks, in terms of the next few months, what do you have planned? When are you releasing your...
Yes. So the official launch is happening in Cyprus, our base, in the 9th of June. And after that, we are officially starting, migrating the existing clients and onboarding new clients, I would say roughly during September. And then we're starting, finalizing the details. So, yeah.
Awesome. Before we let Nikolas go, I just want to say major thank you for kind of helping Aventine Lab grow. I mean, we always appreciate our partners who assist us in making these videos happen. Part of what I like to do is enrich our database on the vendors we have. And we require help from vendors to allow us to come and make these videos. Now, my camera broke, so Nikolas can testify to the obstacles we had to overcome to make this work. But thank you, Nikolas, for everything so far and this conversation. And yeah, highly looking forward to the launch of your new platform.
Thank you. It's been great. Through the obstacles of the camera thing, but we truly appreciate the work that you do, and I think it's unique for the market, and keep up the good work.